Hello and welcome to today's video. So on the battery pack today, we of course have the Pack Sniffer 2. We do have the voltmeter, and it is hooked up to the terminals here. Yeah, normally you would plug in to here, but my connector's all messed up and I don't actually have that connector. So I've got a couple. I took the safety cover off here, and there's a couple bolts there, and I needed to power up the battery pack to figure out which one was positive and negative. And yeah, I could look it up, but it's a good excuse to play with the Pack Sniffer 2 because it's now doing the pre-charge and the contactors and everything. I did. I looked all over for this safety disconnect. If you watched the previous video, it is not in, and I couldn't find it. I knew I had one because I remember playing with it, and it's got this neat little track and everything when it opens and closes, how it comes out, like double lever to pull itself out and go in, which is kind of cool. And I remember playing with it, and I couldn't find where I put it, and it was in the box. I finally found a box of parts that goes to the other battery pack that I already took apart. So it came with one of them, and but anyways, yeah, I found it. It's kind of annoying that I couldn't find it. But anyways, so the thing that I'm hooking up, of course, don't get your hopes up. It's not ready yet, but if you follow the cable, ta-da! We have a Bursa NLG 513 battery charger. 520 volts, 12.5 amps. More than enough to charge this battery pack. And that is the goal. I want to be able to take this, plug it in, and have it initiate everything. Obviously, I don't have anything hooked up to it yet. I don't have the CANbus or anything, but we'll go ahead and fire this up and show you what I've got so far. We can click on the Pack Sniffer. Yeah, normally you would power it with 12 volts, but I'm still using the 5 volt. It's more convenient. So we're boost converting to 12. And the boost converter is good to 2 amps in at 5 volts, and so is the battery. This battery pack's good to 2.1, but we're going to go ahead and do everything here and fire it up. It's now enabled, and if we go look, we're at 377.89 volts. Looks like my battery and my meter is dying, so how accurate that is, we'll see. What does this say we're at? This says that we are at 378.5. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty close. This is probably more accurate. I mean, this is reading from the actual BMS, so I'd assume that would be more accurate. Has much higher resolution, but anyways, so right now we got it powered up. So yeah, that's all it does right now. It just cycles through and measures that. So what I want to happen is I plug in 240 volts. Charger has a 12 volt pilot signal that comes out to tell whatever the management system that it's plugged in. That'll go on to this line in here, one of the analog input 1, which is the key switch / charge line. That'll wake up the BMS or the Pack Sniffer. It will then go and wake up the BMS, so that this also has a charge / ignition line on it. That'll come up, start spitting out data. We'll gather all that data and make sure that we got no cells that are crazy out of range, or everything looks good. We'll go ahead and pre-charge, and then we turn on the ground contactor first, then we pre-charge contactor, and then the positive contactor comes on, and then we shut off the pre-charge. So one of those, we do a make before break. So then once that's done, the Pack Sniffer will then say back to the charger over CANbus and say, yep, okay, you're ready to go. Give me some voltage, give me some current, and then this guy will start charging up the battery pack. The interesting thing will be, does my, go back, wait for it to cycle on. Does my state of charge start going up? So that'll be the interesting thing to see. And the reason I say that is because the current sensor is not very accurate. I mean, right now it's reading 0.5 amp to 1 amp. It only has 0.5 amp resolution, and that's not that much. That's not very high enough resolution to do amp hour counting. Now, the amp hour counter in the battery charger is really accurate because it's got, you know, the current sensor in the battery pack has to handle hundreds of amps, plus or minus hundreds of amps, whereas this only has to handle positive 12.5 amps. So the resolution on this is going to be much, much, much higher for amp hour counting to know how much it's putting into the battery pack. And that leads me to question whether I need to spoof a packet from the Nissan Leaf battery charger to make the BMS operate properly and actually keep track of this. So that'll be interesting to see if the current sensor has enough resolution. I really don't think it does. And they're probably relying on, you know, it probably just handles discharging. But when you charge, that actually is able to measure the exact quantity of power that's returned, or amp hours that's returned back to the battery pack. And then it probably updates, you know, its state of charge and the health and everything based on that. But again, I haven't tried it. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's where we're at. So what I'll probably do is actually wire up the other side to... I think I'm going to do dual CAN buses on this. This application doesn't really matter because the Bursa NLG5 is also 500 kilohertz or 500 kbaud CAN bus. So is the Nissan Leaf BMS. They're both 500 kilohertz. So they can talk on the same CAN bus. But I did notice that the Elcon battery charger, I've had a few requests for the Elcon battery charger. It's actually 250 kbaud. So half the rate, which means they'd be incompatible. You can't have them on the same CAN bus. But luckily, Pack Sniffer 2 has 2 CAN buses. So what I'll probably do is wire up this side, this side CAN bus to the battery pack itself, and then use the other CAN bus on this side, because that also has the I/O that I need to read the pilot signal from this to tell you that, hey, you plugged it in. And yeah, then I think that's what I'll end up doing. That will make easier design. I mean, I've got 2 CAN buses for a reason, and specifically for, it doesn't really hurt this application, but I know some other battery chargers will talk at different rates. So that allows it to do that translation. So yeah, yeah, progress is being made. It's a little slow. So, you know, give me a few more days. And the other thing is I got to get the config system. Like, I'll probably hard code it all just to get it up and running as a proof of concept. But then, especially if I need other CAN messages that I need to replicate to send over to here to get this guy to do its thing. But I really want to integrate the config system, because I think that's where all the cool stuff is. You'll be able to set in, you know, how you want to charge to this voltage, the first cell that reaches that, shut down, or do this, or turn off the battery charger. You know, if the temperature's too high, temperature's too low, you know, all the cool stuff is going to be done in the config system. And then you can set up what pages you want displayed while it's charging. So maybe, I mean, these are the ones I thought would be cool. This is the state of charge, the voltage. And these are live, like if I were to change the voltage on there, it would actually update. But I just have it going through those 3 pages. I'll probably add, like, for the battery charger, another page in there with the, maybe, like, you know, target and actual voltage and target current and actual current, because it'll be limited, because you're going to tell it to go to, like, you know, 400 volts or something, and it can't get there because it's charging the battery. But it'll max out the current at, like, you know, what is this thing, 12.5 amps? So yeah, that would be pretty cool. Progress is being made. And the great thing is I have an NLG 511, which is the lower voltage version of this, which will put out 150 volts, well, 180-ish, to charge these guys, this battery pack, which will be in my truck. So yeah, progress is being made. I'm happy. The goal is to have the truck up and running by spring. So anyways, wish me luck. So this video has been pretty long. I'll go ahead and kill power to this, and you'll see the voltage start decaying here as we're There you go. Turns off, and you see the voltage starts dropping down because we're now we had charged up the capacitors in here and the output stage caps in this guy. And there's obviously a bleed resistor in there, so you can see it's slowly gonna drain the battery pack down. So we're down to 60 volts already. But anyways, yeah, progress is being made. Oh, this video ended up being pretty long, but anyways, thanks for watching.